Welcome to Hidden History and Biblical Mystery, the show that uncovers the secrets and mysteries of the Bible and history. In this episode, we will explore the lost books of the Bible, the books that were excluded from the official canon of the Bible, and why they were considered heretical or dangerous by the church authorities. We will also explore the contents and teachings of some of these books, such as the Book of Baruch, the Apocalypse of Abraham, and the Book of Ezra. What secrets do these books reveal? What insights do they offer? And why were they hidden from the public? The Bible is the most influential and widely read book in the world. It contains the sacred scriptures of Judaism and Christianity, and it has shaped the beliefs and values of billions of people throughout history. But the Bible that we know today is not the original or complete version of the book. In fact, there are many other books that were once part of the Bible or claimed to be inspired by God, but were later rejected and removed by the church authorities. These books are known as the Apocrypha, the Pseudepigrapha, or the lost books of the Bible. Why were these books excluded from the Bible? Who decided which books were in and which books were out? And what criteria did they use? The answers to these questions are not simple or clear. The process of forming the canon of the Bible was a long and complex one, involving many debates, controversies, and conflicts among different groups of Christians and Jews. The canon was not fixed or finalized until centuries after the books were written, and it varied depending on the region, the tradition, and the authority of the church. One of the main reasons why some books were rejected from the Bible was because they were considered heretical, meaning that they contradicted or challenged the orthodox doctrines and teachings of the church. The church authorities wanted to preserve the unity and purity of the faith and to eliminate any sources of confusion or division among the believers. They also wanted to protect the authenticity and reliability of the scriptures and to exclude any books that were forged, falsified, or corrupted. The lost books of the Bible were often suppressed, censored, or destroyed by the church authorities, who considered them dangerous or deceptive. Many of these books were lost or forgotten for centuries until they were rediscovered by scholars, archaeologists, or explorers in modern times. But where were these books found? And how did they get there? Some of the most famous discoveries include the Nag Hammadi Library in Egypt, the Dead Sea Scrolls in Israel, and the Codex Sinaiticus in Sinai. But are these the original locations of these books? Or were they transported there from somewhere else? Some researchers have suggested that these books may have originated from the true Old World and the real Holy Land, which is not the modern-day Middle East, but America. Yes, you heard that right. America is the true Old World and the real Holy Land, and Utah is the Kingdom of Judah. This may sound unbelievable, but there is evidence to support this claim. For example, in 1992, German toxicologist Svetlana Balabanova discovered traces of cocaine and nicotine in the hair of an Egyptian mummy named Hennet-Tawi, who was a priestess and chantress in the Temple of Ammonius at Thebes. Cocaine and nicotine are substances that are native to the Americas and were not known to exist in Africa until after Columbus voyaged the seas. How did Hennet-Tawi get access to these drugs? Could it be that she was in contact with people from America who brought these drugs with them? Or could it be that she was actually from America and that her mummy was stolen and shipped to Egypt, along with other artifacts and treasures during the conquest of America by the Europeans? Could it be that the Europeans also stole the lost books of the Bible from America and planted them in the Middle East to create a fake promised land and a false history? This may sound like a conspiracy theory, but it is not. It is a hidden history that has been suppressed and distorted by the powers that be, who want to keep us in the dark and in the bondage of lies. They want us to believe that America is the new world and the land of the Gentiles, and that the Middle East is the old world and the land of the Jews. But this is not true. America is the old world and the land of the Jews, and the Middle East is the new world and the land of the Gentiles. This is the truth that the lost books of the Bible reveal to us. The lost books of the Bible are not only of historical or academic interest, but also of spiritual and cultural significance. They offer us a glimpse into the diversity and richness of the early Christian and Jewish movements and the different ways that they understood and expressed their faith. They also offer us a chance to learn more about the origins and development of the Bible and the challenges and controversies that it faced. They also invite us to question and challenge the authority and interpretation of the Bible and to seek our own answers and meanings. In this episode, we will explore some of the most intriguing and influential lost books of the Bible, such as the Book of Baruch, the Apocalypse of Abraham, and the Book of Ezra. We will examine their contents and teachings, their sources and influences, their reception and rejection, and their relevance and impact today. But before we do that, we need to address a crucial question. Why does it matter? Why should we care about these lost books of the Bible? What difference does it make for our faith and our lives? The answer is simple: because these books reveal the hidden history of the Bible and the true identity of God's chosen people. These books show us that the Bible is not a static or monolithic book, but a dynamic and diverse collection of writings that reflect the experiences and perspectives of different communities of faith. These books also show us that God's chosen people are not a single or exclusive group, but a diverse and inclusive family that spans across time and space. You see, the church authorities who rejected these books did not do so because they were faithful to God's word, but because they were afraid of God's truth. They did not want to acknowledge that God had spoken and acted in ways that they did not expect or approve. They did not want to admit that God had chosen and blessed people that they did not like or respect. They did not want to accept that God had a plan and a purpose that was bigger and better than their own. They wanted to control God and his people. They wanted to limit God and his revelation. They wanted to replace God and his covenant. This is what some scholars have called replacement theology or supersessionism. According to this doctrine, the church has replaced Israel as God's chosen people, and the new covenant has replaced the old covenant as God's promise. This doctrine teaches that God has rejected and abandoned Israel because of their unbelief and disobedience, and that he has transferred all his blessings and promises to the church. This doctrine also implies that the church has the right and the duty to inherit and occupy the land and the resources that once belonged to Israel. But this doctrine is not based on the Bible, but on the bias and the agenda of the church. It is not supported by the facts, but by the fiction of the church. It is not inspired by the Spirit, but by the spirit of the world. The Bible tells us a different story. The Bible tells us that God has not rejected or abandoned Israel, but that he has loved and preserved them as his people. The Bible tells us that God has not replaced or canceled the old covenant, but that he has fulfilled and confirmed it in the new covenant. The Bible tells us that God has not transferred or revoked his blessings and promises to Israel, but that he has extended and shared them with the church. The Bible tells us that God has a plan and a purpose for both Israel and the church, and that he has a place and a role for both Jews and Gentiles in his kingdom. The Bible tells us that God has chosen one over the other. This is what the Bible calls the mystery of the gospel, or the mystery of Christ. According to this mystery, God has revealed his grace and his glory to the world through his Son, Yeshua the Messiah, who is the King of Israel and the Savior of the nations. Through his life, death, and resurrection, Yeshua has fulfilled the law and the prophets and has established a new and everlasting covenant with his people. Through his Spirit, Yeshua has created a new and living way for his people to enter into his presence and to enjoy his fellowship. Through his body, Yeshua has united Jews and Gentiles into one new humanity and has made them one new people in him. This mystery is not a secret that is hidden from the world, but a message that is proclaimed to the world. This mystery is not a problem that is solved by the church, but a gift that is received by Israel. This mystery is not a privilege that is claimed by the church, but a responsibility that is entrusted to Israel. The church is not the replacement of Israel, but the usurper of Israel. The church is not the end of God's story, but the enemy of God's story. The church is not the owner of God's kingdom, but the intruder of God's kingdom. This is what Yeshua warned in one of his parables. He said, "The kingdom of heaven is like unto a certain king, which made a marriage for his son, and sent forth his servants to call them that were bidden to the wedding, and they would not come. Again, he sent forth other servants, saying, Tell them which are bidden, Behold, I have prepared my dinner, my oxen and my fatlings are killed, and all things are ready, come unto the marriage. But they made light of it and went their ways, one to his farm, another to his merchandise. And the remnant took his servants, and entreated them spitefully, and slew them. But when the king heard thereof, he was wroth, and he sent forth his armies, and destroyed those murderers, and burned up their city. Then saith he to his servants, The wedding is ready, but they which were bidden were not worthy. Go ye therefore into the highways, and as many as ye shall find, bid to the marriage. So those servants went out into the highways, and gathered together all as many as they found, both bad and good, and the wedding was furnished with guests. And when the king came in to see the guests, he saw there a man which had not on a wedding garment. And he saith unto him, Friend, how camest thou in hither not having a wedding garment? And he was speechless. Then said the king to the servants, Bind him hand and foot, and take him away, and cast him into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. For many are called, but few are chosen. In interpreting Yeshua's parable, we draw parallels to the church as an entity that, throughout history, played a role in deciding who is deemed worthy to partake in the divine promises. The initial rejection by those invited to the wedding feast can be seen as a representation of established religious authorities who resisted the call for a broader, more inclusive understanding of God's kingdom. The servants who were mistreated by those initially invited may symbolize the Israelites or indigenous populations who faced oppression and violence during historical conquests. The rejection and mistreatment of these servants are likened to the suppression and eradication of certain perspectives and texts that did not align with the established doctrines of the church. The subsequent invitation extended to anyone, both good and bad, mirrors the call for a more inclusive and diverse representation of God's chosen people. However, the parable takes a turn when a guest is found without a wedding garment. This moment serves as a cautionary tale, emphasizing the consequences of rejecting or not adequately preparing for the divine truth. The guest without a wedding garment can be viewed as those who, despite being invited into God's kingdom, willingly embrace the doctrines of the church, rejecting the fullness of the divine revelation. This aligns with the narrative of certain books being excluded from the Bible because they did not conform to the established doctrines of the church authorities. The casting of the guest into outer darkness is a potent metaphor for the exclusion and marginalization faced by those who, in their rejection of the broader, more inclusive understanding of God's plan, chose instead to adhere rigidly to the doctrines imposed by the church. This parable, within the broader context of the transcript, reinforces the narrative that the church, in its pursuit of control and dominance, may have overlooked the true richness and diversity of God's plan. The rejection of certain books and the mistreatment of certain groups are presented as part of a broader pattern of exclusion and manipulation. It urges a reevaluation of established beliefs and an embrace of a more inclusive understanding of God's kingdom, echoing the overarching theme of the lost books, revealing a hidden history that challenges the authoritative narrative. In our exploration of the lost books of the Bible, we continue to unravel passages from the Book of Baruch and the Apocalypse of Abraham that shed light on a perspective often omitted from the traditional canon. In Baruch 3:9-10, we encounter a call to the people of Israel, urging them to heed the commandments of life and to understand wisdom. The lamentation about Israel being in the enemy's land, aging in a foreign country, and becoming defiled with the dead raises poignant questions about the challenges faced by the chosen people. As we delve into the Apocalypse of Abraham, particularly in chapters 27 and 28, Abraham envisions a dire fate for Israel at the hands of the Gentiles. The destruction of the temple and city of Jerusalem, coupled with a revelation that the temples of the heathen gods will meet a similar fate, paints a grim picture. The mingling of Abraham's people among the nations and the impending devastation suggest a narrative that challenges conventional beliefs. It becomes evident that these texts present a contrasting viewpoint, emphasizing the consequences of disobedience and the divine judgment awaiting Israel. The visions of destruction and God's final judgment on the nations might have posed a challenge to the prevailing narrative upheld by the church authorities. It's essential to consider why such perspectives were excluded from the Bible. If these passages were included, it would potentially undermine the claim of the church as the sole inheritor of God's promises and could expose a more nuanced and inclusive understanding of God's plan. The church, seeking authority and control, might have seen these texts as a threat to its established doctrines and supremacy. By suppressing or omitting these perspectives, the Church aimed to maintain a singular narrative that positioned itself as the exclusive representative of God's will. This suppression aligns with the idea of replacement theology or supersessionism, where the Church asserts its replacement of Israel as God's chosen people. However, the lost books challenge this narrative, revealing a more intricate and diverse tapestry of God's plan. In examining the present context, there's a striking parallel found in the Book of Mormon describing the formation of the great and abominable church among the Gentiles. This draws a connection to America's situation today, with numerous churches established by the colonizers who lack a deep understanding of God's promises within the biblical promised land. The ignorance surrounding the sacredness of America as the promised land has led to a usurping of the Israelite legacy, causing a deviation from the divine plan. This ignorance, as highlighted in the Book of Mormon, becomes a testimony of the waywardness brought about by the removal of the Israelites from their rightful place. This aligns with the apocryphal Book of Baruch, chapter 27, verses 5-6, where it mentions a fourth kingdom that will arise, harboring harsh and evil power. This kingdom will rule expansively, exalting itself more than the cedars of Lebanon. The truth will be hidden, and those polluted with iniquity will flock to it, akin to evil beasts seeking refuge in the forest. It's a compelling revelation that resonates with the narrative we are presenting, the notion that America, as the fourth kingdom, has hidden the truth of its biblical promised land status, leading to a gathering of the unclean. The influx of people seeking wealth and prosperity in America reflects the unrighteous cleaving to the unclean, echoing the scriptural warnings. As we uncover the hidden history and biblical mysteries, we find ourselves at a critical juncture where the fate of the Gentiles is intertwined with the revelations of the true interpretations of the Bible in these end times. The transcript thus far has illuminated the diverse tapestry of God's plan, challenging the notion of replacement theology that seeks to usurp the rightful place of Israel. For the Gentiles who cleave to the teachings of the Church and refuse to recognize Israel's emerging truth, scriptures provide a stark warning. In God's kingdom, Gentiles are referred to as servants and handmaids, fellow citizens of the saints. The refusal to accept this position and recognize the authenticity of Israel's revelations may lead to dire consequences. In Isaiah 14 verses 1-2, King James Version, the scripture declares, "For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land, and the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors." This prophecy underscores the destiny of the Gentiles in God's kingdom, emphasizing servitude and allegiance to the chosen people. Refusing to heed this warning, rejecting the emerging truth, and continuing to align with doctrines that deny Israel's place may result in a judgment leading to utter destruction and removal from the promised land. In reflection of the gravity of one's chosen position, we recall the words of a biblical figure who, when faced with a choice, declared in Psalms 84 verse 10, King James Version, "For a day in thy courts is better than 1,000. I had rather be a doorkeeper in the house of my God than to dwell in the tents of wickedness." As we conclude this exploration into the hidden history and biblical mystery, let these scriptures serve as a profound reminder of the importance of humility, recognition of God's chosen people, and the acceptance of one's place in the divine order. The revelations of the lost books challenge us to embrace a more inclusive understanding of God's plan, free from the constraints of replacement theology, and to tread the path that leads to true wisdom and divine favor. Signing off with the echoes of hidden truths and the mysteries of the Bible, this is Hidden History and Biblical Mystery. Like, comment,